Aloha and welcome, caregivers. This webinar is presented by Gimme a Break, and I'm the CEO and founder of Gimme a Break. We're a nonprofit organization that is caring for caregivers like you. And by the way, I apologize. My name is Savy Makalena. How are you this wonderful morning? Gimme a Break offers physical and emotional breaks as well as resources for your continued wellness. And Give Me a Break is, of course, based on caring for the caregiver. We provide you with support, resources, and we do outreach like these webinars to help you and to help promote self-care and wellness and your survival. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more as we go on because, everyone's a caregiver, by the way. We all either were, are, or will be, and you all deserve support. And of course, um, you all deserve to dream again. But let's get on with the presentation. This presentation today is part 3 of the wellness wheel, which is financial and vocational wellness. Oh boy, this is going to be fun. So give me a second while I share screen. And let's get this thing on the road. Let's get the show on the road here. Okay. And there we go. Let me just pull this over to here so I can see it. Wonderful. All righty. So a few things before I get started. Why caregiver wellness? Well, because you are at risk. And I talked to you about survival. So 20% of caregivers out there suffer from depression. And that's not a good statistic, but this is the one that's scary. 50% of all caregivers will pass before the one that they are caring for. And if you're 70 and older, that's 70% will not survive. You will pass before the ones you are caring for. So if something happens to you, what happens to them? Who's going to care for them? Your wellness matters, not just for their sake, but also it's generational. What are we teaching the next generation? How to self-care and how to practice wellness. Also, 67% report at least one adverse mental or behavioral health symptoms. And 100% of us are just exhausted, aren't we? And so that is really, we're ignoring the signs of caregiver burnout. I'm going to put a quick apology to all of you out there for this particular presentation. I actually had oral surgery yesterday, so my mouth's still recovering a little bit. So if I do a few faux pas in speaking, thank you for your patience. So let's talk about wellness. What is wellness? It is an active, deliberate pursuit of activities, choices, and lifestyles that lead to a state of complete health. Again, an active, deliberate pursuit. So wellness is your individual pursuit. It's a self-responsibility thing for your own choices, your behaviors, and your lifestyle, but also it's yours to control. In a world of caregiving where we lose control of so much, self-care and wellness is in your control. And it's not just a state of being, it's not just being well, right? This is an active process of being aware, an active process of making choices that lead toward your outcome of optimal holistic health and well-being. So self-care really is about taking responsibility. Wellness is really about taking responsibility for your self-care. Self-care is an activity that we do deliberately. It is not just something that happens. We have to make plans to do so. Yep, good self-care is a key to improved mood and reduced anxiety. Wow, wouldn't that be nice? So it is not something we force ourselves to do, you guys. You don't have to force yourself. However, we want to do something that we enjoy. Self-care is not selfish. You are totally worthy of your self-care, and it refuels us. We need this. You need this. It's all about considering what our needs are. It's knowing what we need in order to take care of ourselves and to be able to take care of others. So a couple of things, where to start? How do you start with self-care? Gosh, that's so tough, right? I don't have time is always the one, right? And so one of Gimme a Break's missions is that we're going to teach you how to do this in 3 seconds or less, right? We'll teach you how to do it in 5 seconds or less, maybe 5 minutes at the most, or sometimes 10. But we're not going to expect you to go to the gym for 2 hours or hang out at the beach for the whole day, although we'd love that. How to self-care in those moments, right? So first of all, you need to stick to the basics. Relax, revive, resource, and renew. These are the wellness keys. So find your own rhythm and your own routine. And then we want to do something that you can actively plan, something that'll fit within your schedule. And then just increase it a little at a time. Increase your commitment, and then share your plans with everyone. Don't think that they're going to judge you, and who cares? In this time and age, doesn't even matter anymore. The bottom line is they will see you self-caring. So let them know so that you can increase your support and try to do different things till you find the things that really make you happy and find you joy. Be aware of what you do, why you do it, how it feels, and what those outcomes are. And that's how you do it. Take care of you. So simple. So this is a series that has 8 parts, or 8 spokes of the wheel, I call it. And it's the wellness wheel. We've been doing it in 4 parts, 2 at a time. And these are all the parts of the wellness wheel. And today we are going to be talking about, oh, wait, I just lost my little mouse guide. There we go. We're going to be talking about financial wellness. Okay. And with financial wellness, I wonder if I can jump to one. Just, oh, there it is. I'm going to take you right to our special guest today. Our special guest is a financial expert, and she is with Phoenix Growth Systems. I'm going to bring on here. Let me stop share screen. I can do that. Oh, it's over here. And there we go. And let me just bring the view back. Isn't this funny? And I'd like to introduce Rebecca Foley. She is our financial expert. So Rebecca, please join us. Are you there? There you are. Hi, how are you?
Hello, good
Thank
morning.
you so much for being here today. And I know what you have to say is going to be of great benefit, because financial wellness is one of the toughest ones, for caregivers. So currently at almost 70% of caregivers losing their jobs because of caregiving, right? So this is not even a funny matter for caregivers. So please, let me turn it over now to you. Enjoy. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Savy, for having me. I'm glad to be here this morning. And my focus today is on utilizing caregiving as a pathway to entrepreneurship. I'm thankful that Savy mentioned that folks lose their jobs because of caregiving. Not that I'm thankful that that happens, but because it is a really good segue into what I have to talk about today. So a little bit about me, starting off with my journey to entrepreneurship, which happened to coincide with my journey to caregiving. My husband was diagnosed with a pretty severe mental illness when I had been laid off from my job. So we both were unemployed, and I was collecting unemployment insurance, and I kind of just utilized that time to create my own pathway to entrepreneurship. It didn't quite start out where I thought of it in that way. I'm sure a lot of other folks have a similar situation where we view anything that we're doing in that time as just trying to survive. So I wasn't thinking of, hey, this is, I'm going to build something bigger than where I'm at or anything like that. I was just trying to bring in money to help me care for our family. We had a toddler, and so it was a lot to balance. And I think the good thing about entrepreneurship is that you can set your own hours, basically. I mean, some folks can't, depending on what they do and things like that. But if you make a very deliberate choice in what you're doing and how you're going to do it, you can make it work for you instead of you working for your, for your job, for someone else. And so then it gives you a lot of control, and it can be really empowering. And what I would say, if you're going to start a pathway to entrepreneurship, is that you should start by asking yourself like 3 questions. And I apologize, my notes are on my phone here, so we'll just go with it. But so the first thing that I would say is, if you're looking at entrepreneurship and you're kind of approaching it like, okay, but what do I do? Like, how do I start this? Where do I start? And what kind of business would I start? I would say, look at your experiences and your certifications first. In your previous life, what were you doing? Were you doing something that you enjoyed? And is it something that you could somehow turn into a job for yourself? A lot of times freelancing is a really great way to start. So I do bookkeeping for small businesses, and it's just started out that it was something that I knew how to do. I was good at it, and I had connections. Like, my dad is a CPA, and he connected me with a few clients, and I did the rest. But yeah, so just looking at your resources, what do you have available to you, and how can you use that as a starting point? And then also, like, kind of building off of that, I already said it, but what are you good at? It doesn't necessarily have to be something that you were already doing previously, but maybe you're good at sewing, maybe you're good at other things that you can utilize to build a business. And then also, like, what interests you. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that you were doing before, but if you have an interest in something and you can turn that into a job, then go for it. I shouldn't even say job, I should say pathway to entrepreneurship. And then, like, the other thing to consider is, what does the market need? So once you start looking at, okay, you maybe make a list of 5 things that interest you, whether or not it's your experience or something you're good at, and then just make a list of those things. But then also make another list. I'm all about making lists because data is fantastic when you're a bookkeeper. But yeah, do another list and look at what the consumers need and what the markets need, and see, kind of play around with that. Like, okay, well, I'm, again, we'll go with me as a bookkeeper. If I were to start out again, I would look through those things. What interests me? What am I good at? And I would say, oh, bookkeeping, I'm going to do that. And so then the next step would be, okay, well, what do my potential clients, my potential customers need? And how can I meet those needs? And how can I, like, sell that to them? How can I tell them about their needs? Because especially in my field, a lot of times consumers don't know what they need. And so giving that consideration is also going to be really beneficial to you. And then we talk about the extra considerations that we as caregivers need to have when we're starting out. One thing that I'm sure that y'all know, but definitely, like, has been a thing for me, and probably a thing that would have been more beneficial to me in the beginning, was knowing how to set my priorities and setting boundaries, and communicating them clearly with your customer base. That was probably the communicating part, was something that I found to be difficult, probably due to the nature of my husband's illness, but also just it's hard to talk about with folks sometimes. And so I didn't often communicate what I was going through, but being able to do that will help you set expectations with your clients. And so then they're hopefully going to be a little bit more, like, forgiving and more respectful of your boundaries. And then create a schedule and prioritize caregiving. Like for me, I was able, when I first started out, I was doing on-site bookkeeping. So I was going to client and I could set my own schedule. And I knew that I could leave my husband alone for a few hours, but I could also schedule my time around his doctor's appointments and things like that. And so keep those things into consideration. Keep your schedule flexible. And then set expectations for yourself as well. Because starting a business is difficult and time consuming and draining, and then add in caring for a family member, which is also difficult and draining. And so you want to make sure that you're setting expectations and creating time in your schedule for self-care. You want to have a reasonable expectation about how much time that you're going to devote to your business without burning out, and then build and plan a schedule that works for you. You want the business to work for you. You don't want to work for the business. So make sure that you are planning for it to work around your life. And then hire help as early as possible. You want to focus on gaining passive income in any way that you can, and then recognize that you can't do everything. That's something that both as caregivers and entrepreneurs we fall into. We want to, everything falls on us. And so we get into the habit of being that person. And I think one way in order to be successful at using caregiving as a pathway to entrepreneurship is to recognize that we can't do everything, and that we need to create ways for other folks to kind of join us with our entrepreneurship journey. And so hiring as soon as possible, doing passive income, and hiring professionals that handle things that distract you from the tasks that keep everything running smoothly. So, obviously shameless plug, but hiring a bookkeeper such as myself, and a virtual assistant if that's something that you need, someone maybe who does your social media, things like that. Recognize that the tasks that you can't do yourself, or the ones that maybe you don't do as well, and the ones that are going to be draining your resources, and find other people to do that for you. And then lastly, kind of just what types of businesses would work for caregivers. I personally just did a quick Google search for this for the purpose of this talk, and so I would encourage doing that. Also, just maybe doing some daydreaming and doodling. Just write down whatever comes to mind. But what types of businesses are suggested for caregivers? Look for something that doesn't require a lot of time and resources. And I guess I would add into like this whole process requires a lot of creativity. So just kind of fostering that mindset as you go into it would be really beneficial, and really fostering creativity in general when you're doing working as an entrepreneur is really important. Again, what types of businesses do you want to look for? You want to look for something that's going to generate passive income so that you don't have to put as much time into it. Unfortunately, as a bookkeeper, we don't necessarily have as many opportunities for passive income, although I've found some. And then I don't generally recommend this for most folks, but I think for caregivers, this is actually a really beneficial pathway to entrepreneurship, and that's multi-level marketing. Things like Melaleuca. I'm trying to think of some of the ones. Mary Kay. If there's a product that you really like, that you're really into, and you can I'm trying to say this without sounding gross, but leverage or utilize your social circle in order to sell those products. You can sell something to people that you like and enjoy, and you'll be selling something that you like and enjoy to them. So it's that is kind of a win-win. Another one is consulting, kind of like what I do. You can, if you've got a situation, and this is really like a freelance kind of thing, and freelancing can be really good, a really, really good way to start a business, especially if you're a caretaker. And if you've got experience with something, it's a really almost a direct line to consulting. And then another one that when I was looking, another suggestion that I found was affiliate marketing, which I'm not super familiar with, but I think a lot of that has to do with like, it's kind of like multi-level marketing, but it's more so it's tech related. And so it's like you're selling software, basically, is kind of how that works. One of my good friends does this with I'm trying to think I utilize the software, but I have a really hard time remembering exactly what it does, but it's basically digital marketing. And so she has kind of an upline, and she sells the software and she makes money off of the subscription sales. And then another good one too is content creation. So if you are super creative and you're really good with graphic design and things like that, creating a community, social media, a newsletter, very similar to what Savy's doing, you could utilize some of those tactics around whatever interests you, honestly. If you've got something to say about anything and you can draw other people into that world, that can be a really good way to generate money. You can do like membership based. Another thing, like going back to the affiliate marketing, you can have websites that have that sell advertising. So there's a lot of options that you can do with that. Another one too is creating an online course. So again, if you have knowledge that you want to share with other people, you can create a course that they can buy, and that's a really good form of passive income as well. And then another suggestion that I found was write a book, which I look at and I think I could never, but you never know. I mean, why not? Yeah, so that's, I think the main thing is think bigger and think creatively and just give yourself that space to do that. I know it's hard to do when you're focusing on the day to day, and I think it's definitely part of self-care to put yourself in a place where you can think about the possibilities and how you can use where you're at to create opportunities for yourself and to create possibilities for yourself. And I know that sounds like really privileged or really easier said than done, but I know that for myself and a lot of folks like me that are entrepreneurs that have been kind of in places where I started out, that's not the case at all. Like we all were basically took a crisis that we had and turned it into an opportunity. I think that's like the crux of being an entrepreneur. And yeah, I think that caretaking is really a great way to be able to do that. So thank you, Savy, for having me today, and thank you all for listening. If you ever want to talk more about entrepreneurship, you can reach me at phoenixgrowthsystems.com. And Savy put my information in the chat, so feel free to contact me if you have any questions.
Oh my
Thank you.
gosh, that was amazing. Thank you so much. I love all of those ideas, and totally things that Give Me a Break has always kind of promoted within our community as well, to just help caregivers to survive. And thank you for your bravery to share your caregiving story and journey as well. And see, this is exactly why Rebecca's here, and all of the experts that I brought in is, these may not be the most famous people in the world, These are not the people that I paid hundreds and thousands of dollars to get on and give you expert advice. These are real people, real caregivers who can give you their expert advice. So thank you so much, Rebecca. Thank you so much for sharing with our community. I can't even express to you how wonderful this is, to be able to share with our caregivers. So for those of you who are on the webinar or who will watch this later on our YouTube channel or even on our website, please know that your financial wellness does matter and that there are ways to do that. And what great advice we just received from Rebecca. And so let me just get back really quick now to my presentation for you. Here we go. Okay, great. So let's get back to talking more, just a little bit more about financial wellness and what you can do with your financial wellness. So just remember that it is a relative measure, that right, of how well you manage your financial life. Your financial life needs to be managed, but your financial wellness is really a gauge. So improving your financial wellness is about practicing better money habits, setting goals, taking steps to achieve them, and just improving your overall quality of life. And it's an important spoke in this wellness wheel. So, where do you start? Where in the world can a caregiver start? I love the suggestions that Rebecca made to you because, again, they're practical for a caregiver. So, kind of make a plan for yourself. We forget to plan when we caregive. We get hit from calm to chaos, bam, we're caregivers. And the next thing we don't even realize that we have no plans anymore. We don't know what to do with ourselves. So start planning. Don't just think about the current caregiving situation you're in. What's your care receiving plan? What are you going to do to be able to at one point receive care yourself and enjoy your after what's going to happen after the current caregiving situation you're in, right? So the first thing you really want to do is know where your money is. Track your money coming in and going out. Really look at that. Be realistic about it. Manage your resources within your means. And I know that I could get into detail on these, but these I'm going to highlight for you so that you can really start doing that research on your own and contact Rebecca. She'll definitely help you. Her contact information, like she mentioned, is in the chat. So get a plan for success. And some of you might have heard of something called SMART goals, right? So that's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. If you had to take a screenshot of this, do it so that you can just use that as a guideline. There's your outline to how you can plan for your success. And a couple of suggestions that I will make. Have a small amount from each of a check that you get, whether you're getting a regular income on a paycheck or whether you get sporadic income. Tithe yourself. I know some of you that are going to church and you put money in the basket and you tithe yourself a certain amount. You tithe to pay the church a certain amount. But what you need to do is you need to tithe yourself. So take 10% of any money coming in and immediately put that into a savings account or into an investment account. Just do it. If you don't even see it, if it's pre-pay or pre-check, they do it automatically for you, then do it because it's tax-free then, and just lock it into an account. You won't even see that money. If you get 300 a week or 3,000, 10% of that is not even going to be noticed by you. But if you don't do that and you plan on it, then you're always going to count that penny. So put it away. Create a separate account for emergencies and maybe put this money into that, or have it go separately in there. Divide it up. If you're 10%, put 2% into a separate emergency account, the other 8 into your investment account. Start setting that up. No one says you have to have 1 or 2 bank accounts. Okay. And then don't just blow your tax refund. This is the time. This is tax season right now. You're all hopefully getting a refund. And if you are, don't just blow it. Throw half of it right into a savings account, bang, immediately. Do that. And again, don't count on that money and spend it and blow it right away. So that's just an awareness you can create if that's part of your plan, be smart. Where is your money? That's another question to always ask yourself. Do you often say that? Man, where did my paycheck go? It's just gone, right? And we don't always think about it. So look into your current spending, do a self check to see how healthy your finances are, create a budget, a simple one, one that works for you. And, here's another one is kind of look at your bills. You can request to have due dates differently. You don't have to go by whatever due date they assigned you. You can get a different due date if that helps you to stay on track. Okay. So watch where your money goes. I was just talking this morning, we were just talking about getting a credit card. You get these in the mail all the time to get a credit card. Well, do yourself a favor and flip it over and read the back to see how much that interest rate is. Because even if they're offering you a low in the beginning, it's going to jump up. And some of them are up to 30%. And so if you have a credit card balance of $1,000, you've got 300 of it going to interest rates. That's 30%. So just watch your money, watch what you're doing with it. I know it's easy to get caught up on credit, but pay attention to where your money goes and where is your money currently. Is it going, coming? What is it being invested? And be realistic. Okay, try to live within your means, especially here in Hawaii. It is so hard. You have to really, really get simple. And thank goodness for some of these big box stores. I know. There's an argument to support local, and we do. We support local whenever we can. But boy, I'll tell you, these big box stores will save you in a pinch. So, we need to look at if we have bad habits, what are we doing? And so develop better money habits, the 90-10 credit rule, right? And we can talk about that more as well. So, 10% on credit, 90% on cash, and choose a way, talk to your creditors, find a way to reduce your credit, get a strategy, and see if that helps you. Don't just pay the minimum. See what else you can do to reduce your credit and not add any more, because they're going to want to add more. So be smart. Prioritize it. See what you have to do to change to live simple. I know it's great to have all of the best brand names, but when you're caregiving and you've lost your job and you have no income, let me tell you, you get creative. I always joke because I'm part Japanese and part Dutch. And so the Japanese side of me, my mother is influence, always has to have brand name. But my father's side, which is the Dutch side, and he says that's why we came up with the Dutch treat, because we're really tight with our money. We're very frugal. I always have to get it at a bargain. So some of these thrift stores and bulk stores, like Ross and TJ Maxx, they're a godsend for me. So do what you have to do, because sometimes you don't have to have the newest and the latest. The most important thing is to have what you need, and what you need to practice self-care and be well. All right. So bottom line, get help. Don't try to do this on your own. If you really feel strongly about it, then get help from the internet. That's fine, but make sure you're very careful about which help you receive. Screen your calls, screen whoever you talk to, but get help. Talk to people to get help, and find out who are the people that will help you and support you financially. Give Me a Break can suggest some financial assistance for you, and I'm definitely recommending Rebecca to you today. So you need help to make these decisions. All right. And remember that statistic that you lose your job, trust me, you're going to need that income, and you're going to need help budgeting what you do have or what you don't have. I know, went through the same thing, lost my job because of caregiving as well. So I understand and know exactly what you're going through. So thank you again to Rebecca. And let me just pop that back up one more time. There's her contact information again on the screen if you need a screenshot. And remember, it is in the text, in the chat on this Zoom. So thank you, Rebecca. An amazing presentation. So real, so down to earth, and from a caregiver just like you. Okay, so then that takes us to vocational wellness. Now, I know that we have financial issues, and sometimes we're looking for that job to help us to bring that income in. So we need to look at how we can bring money in and what vocation really works for us. Well, let's just start with this. Vocational wellness is defined as gaining personal satisfaction and enrichment from our work. So if you're currently in a job that you don't feel any of these things, even if you're caregiving, you need to think about what you can do. Let's look at the Latin word for vocation. It comes from vocare. Vocare means to call. So your vocation, your vocare, is actually a calling. It's a calling that is not necessarily limited to your profession or just getting income. It's about your mission and purpose as well. And so that's the satisfaction that we get. You know, caregiving comes to our lives. We may not be that caregiving is our vocare. It might not be our calling, right? However, we have to caregive, and we do that as not just a duty, but because of the loved ones that are in our life, and we will caregive. We also need to find our meaning and purpose in life. And that could mean a job that we do. And thank goodness for the pandemic allowing us now to be socially acceptable to work from home. Isn't this a great time? So where do you start? A vocation, a vocationally well person strives to balance work and non-work obligations and activities, including learning how to say no. So sometimes we have to maintain that balance. So where do you start? You start by setting your own personal boundaries and understanding what they are. And then we need to find that same kind of personal satisfaction and enrichment from our career or from volunteer work, whichever works for us. So how do you find your calling? The beautiful thing is that Rebecca shared with us many ways to do that. But let's think about what gaining personal satisfaction and what enrichment for that work look like in your life. So in order to do that, talk to your friends. Talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, talk to the current work associates that you're with about what they see you doing. What do you think would be a great career for me? You know, what kind of person do you see me as? And what kind of influence do I have over people? Right? Seek out opportunities to participate in different kinds of activities, clubs, committees. Go to your Facebook page and look at the groups that you've joined. That'll tell you what kind of interest you have, right? And then surround yourself with people who are positive and healthy, and spend more times with these people because you're going to need that. In fact, we'll talk about that a little bit more next presentation where we talk about your social wellness. Then share your skills. So beyond being used for your own enjoyment, your vocare or your talents and passion could be used for the greater good. Think about it. If you're a creator, like one of the things she talked about was creating content. Well, create something beautiful for people to see. Maybe it's artistic that you have that talent. And we're in a world today where we can really share that with a whole social network of people. And we can share our artwork, we can share our mind creativity, the things we make and the things that we love. Now, if you're a leader, then lead people, lead them to a happier, healthier life, help them to find their wellness. If you're a teacher, teach them something new. Don't just teach something over and over again. Find new ways to present it, find new ways to reach people because you put your passion into this, right? And if you're a grower, then grow a garden and do it with your heart and kindness to share with others. They say that when you grow a garden with love, the food tastes better. So there you go. All right. So then there's this. This is the 6 questions that you can ask yourself to really help you identify what is your vocare, what is your calling. All right. So if you want to take a screenshot here, now's the time. Number 1, what could you talk about for the rest of your life? Wow. So listen to yourself when you get in conversations, when your passion starts to well up and you talk about that. That's something that you could talk about for the rest of your life. And based on your life experience, number two, what do you consider yourself an expert at? And I don't mean that you've received training or that you've got certification or that you even gone to school for this. I mean, what do you really consider yourself an expert at? When you find yourself in a situation or a conversation and that subject comes up and you were like, oh, I know about this. What are you an expert at? What do you truly love? And I know there might be a lot of people and things that you love. So list them all. And what do you really hate? What do you dislike? What do you really not like at all? Make that list. Number five, what makes you feel alive? Everybody has something that just makes you feel alive. And I know as caregivers, we put all of these behind us because we're so caught up in what we're doing. Take a moment to really, really bring that thought back to you. You know where it is, it's right here. And really remember what makes you feel alive. And number six is what's in your hand. I know that sounds funny, right? But what's in your hand? What are the resources that you do have? You have some resources. They could be physical, they could be mental resources, they could be spiritual resources. Any of the place stops on the wheel. What are your resources? You could have social resources. Rebecca talked about she had her father who was an accountant. What a great resource. And if you're practicing some of these financial wellness that we talked about earlier, you may have some investments that provide you with a base to start your own business. So, what do you have in your hand? So try all of these things. These might help you as well to have your financial wellness and to be able to get a vocation and your vocational wellness that will help provide you with something to do while you are caregiving, work from home, work online, get a part-time job, whatever it takes to continue on and to build your dream, because caregivers should never stop dreaming. So the next part, I hope you enjoyed that. And the next part coming up will be next week, Saturday. And if you missed the first presentation, Simple Steps for Managing Self-Care by Lonnie Almanza, that will be next Saturday at 9 o'clock in the morning. And then our final presentation of the Caregiver Wellness Wheel, Part 4, Social and Environmental Wellness, will follow on the 25th, the following Saturday at 9:30 in the morning. We're going to have another expert coming in. Cynthia Arnold will help us with decluttering. It's a really good one. We need this one. Not only do you need to declutter your space, but you kind of need to declutter your mind sometimes, right? So make sure that you go on to our website, gab808.org, so that you can register to get the link. So make sure you do that. And also don't forget, coming up on June 3rd is our Caregiver Day Camp. It is a free day camp. You can just join us in the park, Kapiolani Park, here on the island of Oahu in Hawaii, from 10 to 2. Just come, bring a little sack lunch or a little bento or plate lunch or whatever you want, and a beach towel and a yoga mat if you have it. And of course, snacks and drinks will be provided. And we're just going to do some really great things in the park. We're going to do a little bit of meditation and some yoga and play a few games and just have some fun and practice social wellness. So I hope that you all show up for that. Mark your calendars now for it, and know that Gimme a Break is really here for you. Gimme a Break is about community. And that's what we're building. We're building a community of caregivers just like you. So you don't have to be alone. You don't have to struggle by yourself. And we'll give you resources to get through it. All of our resources are vetted, trusted, and 99.9% caregivers who get what you're going through and who have the heart of a caregiver to understand what your needs are, like Rebecca. So thank you again, Rebecca, for that and for being here today. And know, of course, that Give Me a Break does give you support, you guys. You not only have these educational webinars and workshops and presentations, we also have our Giver's Guides magazine that you can get a subscription to very easily. Just go on to our website. Giver's Guides is your caregiver's guides to practicing wellness, to surviving caregiving, and it's online. Also, all of the proceeds from Givers Guides go to support Give Me a Break. So get in there and help us out and help yourself out, and some great articles to help you get going every month. Also know that we have our support sessions. Our support sessions, let me go back to that one, is our weekly, every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. So those of you on the continental US can tune in according to what that time zone is for you. So it's 2 p.m. here, Hawaii Standard Time, and 8 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time, both on Wednesday, on Tuesdays. And you can join in to a community of caregivers just like you. Our support sessions are not necessarily support groups in that sense. We're really just creating a safe space for caregivers. This is your safe space. So join us, and we hope that you get that support as well. So we hope that this was helpful for you. And if you have any questions about the speaker or would like this presentation, let me know. Please email your request to info@gab808.org. Give Me a Break is here for you. You can connect with our community again on our weekly support sessions or in any of our events that are upcoming. So always check out our website, gab808.org, for information of what's coming up. We have one coming up very soon on June 8th. Is going to be our Hawaii Caregivers Expo. You don't want to miss that. And I'll be talking more about that in our last presentation of the month, as well as, again, go onto our website and don't forget to get your subscription to the Givers Guides online magazine. In fact, as a gift for you, for watching this presentation, whether you saw it live or you watched it on our YouTube channel or saw it on our website, if you email us at info@gab808.org and just let us know you want a subscription, type in this code SIMPLE420. Simple 420 is all you need, and you will receive 3 months free subscription. And that's from us to you. So you can check it out and see if that's something you want. All right. Mahalo, all of you, and all of you that care, and all the caregivers out there. And especially, please take care of not only the ones you care for, but especially of yourself. We do what we do for caregivers. Thanks to your kind donations that you've made on our website. We appreciate that. That keeps us going. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Find your vocare, find your passion, and then get your financial and your vocational wellness all together. And let us know if you need any support. Aloha, everyone. Mahalo for your time.